Hi there, welcome back to Mill Creek Church, the place where you belong. We are so thankful that you came out and chose to worship with us. We're currently doing our Wednesday night word of encouragement. If you'd like to find out more information about Mill Creek Church, you can visit us on the web at millcreekbaptist.online or join our Facebook group that you will see displayed on the screen. And if you would like to know more about Mill Creek Church, please feel free to fill out our Connect Plus card that will be linked in the description below, and someone from our church will be reaching out to you shortly. Today's reading comes from Isaiah 55, verses 6 through 7 and verses 10 through 11. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon his name while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way and the unrighteous man his thoughts. And let him return to the Lord, and he will have compassion on him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. For as the rain and the snow come down from heaven, and do not return there without watering the earth and making it bear and sprout, and furnishing seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so will my word be which goes forth from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, without accomplishing what I desire, and without succeeding in the matter for which I sent it. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Over the past month or so, my studies have become heavily dependent upon my thoughts and interactions with the Bible. That in and of itself is not a bad thing, but as a pastor shepherding a flock, I also need to be aware of the myriads of helpful resources that are biblically centered with eternity in mind. In trying to read more and consume less media, I came across a concept I'd like to flesh out with you today. As I was reading, I came across the idea that there are three kinds of time in the Bible. Many of us are familiar with the concept of the first, though we've never experienced it, the concept of eternity. The second is one in which we are overly familiar, and that is the continual march of chronological time. The third, perhaps the reason for the others, is God's time. God's time is eternal in nature, but also intimately interwoven into the fabric of chronological time. It is a time defined by God sovereignly intervening, accomplishing his purposes as he steps into chronological time and manifests himself among his people, particularly in the person of Jesus the Christ. But that does not mean it was limited to Jesus walking the earth, for the impacts of believing upon Jesus continue to this day. God's timing continues as he draws nearer to his people in seasons of personal and corporate blessing, punishment, and salvation. For example, think about those time periods in chronological time labeled as the Great Awakenings. But we know that while lowercase Great Awakenings happen every day, in the sense that individuals are awakened to the reality of Jesus as Lord, Great Awakenings in the capital sense, where this occurs in mass quantities, are not an everyday occurrence. So what gives? And I think today's reading hits on this truth behind the matter as Isaiah writes, "Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near." The truth is, it is essential that God's people recognize God's timing so that they may earnestly seek him and lead others to seek him as well. After all, we are to become disciples who are capable of making disciples. It is my pleasure to share with you today that God is near. Well, how can you know that, Pastor? Because as a man of the book, I see the pattern that God has always used seasons of crises and unrest as a way of getting people's attention and reorienting that attention back onto him. One of the greatest gifts that God gives humanity apart from himself is hope. The psalmist exclaims, "Let your loving kindness, O Lord, be upon us, according as we have hoped in you." Throughout chronological time within eternity, God has always done some of his greatest works of revival and revitalization during the darkest hours of spiritual blindness and crisis. There is hope for the world today, and it comes in the person of Jesus. So my encouragement today is simple. Seek the Lord while he is near, and in your seeking, be ready to experience revival. Matthew 7 verse 7 says, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you."